All right, good afternoon. I think just kind of go back to last week. We had our first bye, or our bye week. Came right in the middle of the season, which is obviously a good time. Not only the guys that have missed time injury-wise, but also guys that have played that are dinged up and that needed a little bit of a break right there. So it was a good time to have that. Hopefully a lot of the guys got healed up last week. And I think obviously the main one that everybody really cares about is Cunningham, and he got healed up. He's ready to go. Practiced Sunday, had a good practice Sunday, and then obviously we'll practice this afternoon and be ready to go this week. He's progressed well and is ready to go. Obviously, when you're dealing with those kind of injuries, obviously you rely on your medical and the trainers and all that's been good to go. Get to be at home now finally for a stretch. Get three home games in a row, which is going to be nice. Starting with a Pitt, who I think obviously is a really good football team. Won the ACC last year. Have a lot of experience back this year. Difference is probably this team this year from Pitt from last year is obviously the quarterback, but they did get a transfer from Southern Cal as an outstanding quarterback. Really good passer, can do that. They did lose the one receiver, the best receiver, I guess, last year in football, to Southern Cal. And but they're still a really good balanced offense. They throw and run equally as well. I think the strength of their offense is up front. Probably the best offensive line that we've played this year. A lot of experience there. I think it was all 5 starters back from last year. And they play probably 7 or 8 guys up front, and they do a great job with that. We saw what the running back did when he rushed for 320 yards in the last game. 5 or 6 touchdowns against Virginia Tech, went off, had an incredible day. He's an outstanding back, leading the ACC in rushing. He's strong. He can run. He's really fast when he breaks the line of scrimmage. I think that's the difference. You get some shifty backs, or you get just a home run guy that maybe not good in between the tackles. He's just a complete back. He's good in between the tackles, but also when he gets to the second level, he can take it to the house. And I think that's what he proved last game, which did some great things. Defensively, to me, Coach Narduzzi's team is going to have a great defense. Everywhere he's been, whether it's at Michigan State or at Pitt, they've always played great defense. The years where they're really, really good is when their offense scores a lot of points. That's why they won it last year. But this year their defense is loaded again. One of the best interior D tackles, I think, out there, number 8. He's an outstanding player, hard to block. Undersized, but extremely quick, great with his hands, causes havoc, big-time player. Linebackers are aggressive. Number 7, I think, is an outstanding linebacker inside there. Can play outside, can do inside. He can do a lot. Played against us 2 years ago, which was a great player. And then I think in the secondary is where they're really, really good as well. 31's an outstanding safety. I think he's got 8 pass breakups, maybe 3 interceptions. Does a wonderful job. Can really, really run. One of the fastest safeties we've played against. And then they play man-to-man on the corners on the outside. So when they do blitz, they're a great blitzing team. They put pressure on the offense. They're not coming half-heartedly. They're full board when they're blitzing. It's very impressive to watch how they do that. They've been doing it for years. They're really good at it. They know what they're doing on that side of the ball. We have to be very good in our execution offensively. O-line has to play well in order to block those guys up front. I think is obviously a big key. And then defensively, I mean, you certainly got to load up the box to stop the run. I mean, if you don't, they'll play big ball and just run the ball down your throat. We got to do a great job of trying to slow the run game down and hopefully making them one-dimensional if we can. Special team wise, they've done a great job of blocking kicks this year. Again, aggressive with that. I think they've blocked 3 kicks and 2 punts on the season, which is outstanding in the special team aspect. So a well-coached team, and obviously a team that's got a lot of confidence. Took Tennessee into overtime this year. We all know how good they are, and they've done a lot of great things. So looking forward to playing these guys, and after a week off, and then they had a bye week as well. So we both both have 2 weeks off as we come into this game. Looking forward to getting these guys on the field. Questions?
Scott, you alluded to the fact that Malik will be back this week and opening up the offense. This is from Gary Graves of the AP, a question he wanted me to ask you. How much does this remind you, his absence remind you of the dimensions he brings to the offense, and how much do you appreciate it?
Yeah. Well, I think obviously Malik brings a lot to our offense. I mean, especially with his legs. I mean, he certainly can run. I think he may be number 2 in ACC in rushing right now, 91 yards a game, and I mean he's rushed for 9 touchdowns. I mean, so it's a dynamic that teams have to defend. We know that. When he's in balance and has great fundamentals, then he's an outstanding passer as well. So he puts a lot of pressure on defenses, and I think we certainly want to have him available to be able to come out and play. And I think I thought Brock last week, minus the first quarter, because obviously first quarter was not very good, but it played outstanding the last 3 quarters and really ran our offense and did some great things. And, it allows us to know that we've got another viable option to be able to play. I think that obviously helps your offense. You get some more experience there. But to have Malik back, he's played a ton of football for us and done a lot of great things. And I think hopefully he'll have a great week of practice and be ready to go play a great game this weekend.
You alluded to this a little bit about their running back, Abakanda. I'm sure that's the way you pronounce it. But what makes him dangerous as a runner? You alluded to that a little bit. But how much harder is it in preparation because of his receiving skills as well?
Yeah, I mean, he's a dynamic player. You think about he's also a returner. He can do everything. It does make it more difficult. You certainly have to hit all your gaps in the run game. And, again, it starts up front with their O-line. I mean, that's the challenge, I think, is those guys, when they lock on you, it's hard for the guys to get off those blocks. All he needs is a little crease, and then he's going to be able to take the distance. I think the ability to make cuts and to have the vision that he has, but also, again, when he gets to the next level, you fit wrong, it's a touchdown. It's a huge difference when you have a back where you can get him down. Maybe it's a 15, 20-yard run, but you're getting him down as opposed to going all the way to the end zone. That's huge. So you get him down, you got to play another set of downs. You got a chance to maybe hold him out of the end zone, I think. But if you're taking it all the way to distance, that's the difference in the game. That's what he did last week, with the 6 touchdowns, and he blew that game open. That was a tight game, basically probably toward the middle of the end of the third quarter, really tight game. And then, just in the second half, Virginia Tech just couldn't tackle him and did a great job and blew the game open.
Scott, you talked about your team healing up, but also during the bye week, you guys got out and did a lot of recruiting. Can you speak to the momentum you still have on the recruiting trail and maybe some of the stuff you guys heard last week?
Yeah, we did. We took some time. We practiced Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Guys were out Monday, Friday, Saturday of last week. Going out and seeing our committed guys and some others as well. But still, it was great to go out and be able to see some games, see these guys, and still continue the momentum in recruiting, and hopefully maybe pick up another 1 or 2 as we head down the road here. With these home games coming up, we will be hosting some really good recruits here over the next few weeks, official visits and unofficial visits. I think that'll be big for us. But again, continue the dialogue with all these recruits. We're talking to them all the time, and you have to be able to do that because we know, it's not completely over until signing day. Until you get them here. A lot of schools are trying to jockey to get some of our players as you go back and look, and these guys are starting to put some great film out from their senior year, and these other schools really want to get in on those guys. And I think for us, it's all about just continue to build relationships and continue to talk. And I think that's what the bye week's about. It's about going out and, going to their high schools, watching them play, getting transcripts, and really showing them that they're a huge priority for us, for our program.
Scott, you mentioned obviously Malik and his situation, but then there were others like Tyon, Jalen, Kendrick, I think Adonis, and then Amari had tweeted out that he's going to be out for 2 games. Can you speak to those players and what their statuses are and their injuries, or if they're injuries?
Yeah, I mean they're all a little different probably, but I think all those guys are practicing. They all practice on Sunday. Couple of Tyon was still a little bit limited Sunday, but everyone else practiced and was good to go. I think Mitchell now is back fully healthy. which is good. He's missed, I feel like he's missed 4 or 5 weeks, and he brings a lot of experience. You're talking about a guy who started 11 games last year and a very solid back for us. So I think he'll be in the fold this week. And Duncan's practiced Sunday. Tyon practiced. To me, I think Tyon is probably still the biggest question mark. I think everybody else will be available and ready to go. Amari practiced. Amari be practicing all week again this week. I'm not going to speak on anything he tweeted out, that type of thing, because I don't want to speak on that. I think any kind of personnel adjustments that we need to make, we've always done this on Saturday. If we need to make an adjustment, we will. You guys will know that on Saturday. But to all the injured guys, I think we should be good to go. Tyon will know more today, tomorrow, as we head throughout these next 2 work days.
Scott, to follow up a little bit on Cunningham just real quickly, do you have any concerns about him? Is he 100%, do you think, or what?
Yeah, I think he's 100%. I don't have any concerns. The doctors are not going to clear him unless he's 100%. And he's got to play his game. There's no you don't go into college football, particularly at this level, and go in there halfway. I mean, you got to go in there full all the way and do what you do. And that's he's going to run the ball. He's going to run the offense. Make the plays in the passing game. So no concerns whatsoever.
Obviously, halfway point. Your reflections on the first half and then your thoughts on the second half, which certainly looks to be pretty challenging.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I think the first half, we felt like there was a couple games that got away that we felt like we had a great chance, opportunity to win. They're very disappointed in those losses. And I think this day and age in college football, it's hard to win. I've said that forever, and it probably is more parity now than it's ever has been. If you look across college football, it's incredible. Just sitting back and Saturday evening and watching a few games and seeing these guys play. I mean, it's incredible. A team loses a guy here. You look at NC State, unfortunately lost their quarterback for the season. And what an impact it could have on their football team. You can lose one player like that, and things don't happen well for you. I think about Cunningham not playing for us, and we played a backup, and we go out and get a big win on the road and in conference play. That's huge. That's huge for us because there was a lot of teams last week that played their backup quarterback that didn't win. I think the ability to go out there and get those wins is crucial when you do have guys that are in backup roles, particularly when you get to this part of the season. As we get in the second half of the season, there's going to be more of that. There's going to be more guys that are going to be out. Teams don't have their guys. And next guys have to be able to go in there and play. We've kind of been that way in running back. We've played a bunch of different running backs, and 5 guys really. And you just kind of rotating those guys in, and that may happen at other positions as well when you get to this part of the season. Second half, very challenging. All 6 teams have been ranked and or are ranked at some point. So I think for us, you go out and you play well, and if you can get some wins against these ranked teams, it's certainly going to help us. I think it's a great challenge for our guys. We know we got to go out and play great ball. You can't not be good at one phase. You have to be really good at all 3 phases. You have to take care of the ball. We have to create some turnovers. All these things have to happen in order for us to get these wins. But that's the way it is for most all the college football games that we're looking at nowadays. It's extremely competitive. I think all across the country. I don't care what division, what league we're in.
Scott, before the Virginia game, you mentioned you were going to be more involved in defensive meetings as well as take a look at Lance's role as well. Are you carrying those over after the bye week or adjusting those at all? Well,
I think, the things that we did last week that we'll continue to do is, looking in on the defense to see exactly what that I can do to help them. Like I mentioned, whatever it was 2 weeks ago, if I can find something there to help, I hope I can. But my role is still obviously for offense is the same that it has been since I've been here. That's why I'm sitting in the position that I am here at Louisville. Is calling plays and is running the offense. That's what I enjoy doing. I've got great confidence in Lance and our offensive staff that we've always had. They do an outstanding job. But the way we collaborate and do things offensively is the way we've always done it since I've been here. We've had, Dwayne Leffer was offensive coordinator. We've had, Lance now. We've had other guys throughout the years. But the way we do it is the way we do it. At the end of the day, somebody's got to call the final play, and that's been my role. I enjoy doing that. But defensively, I'll help Coach B. Brown and the rest of the guys on that. If there's anything I can see, which I've done all this last week, we're looking at Pitt's offense and seeing some things that they do and some things that I can maybe help. But it'll be the same.
With you're coming off a win and going into a bye week, and like we mentioned, season halfway point. Is there any notion at all, like as far as message to the team, new start, you can't go back and start over, but it's a new start and a lot of big opportunities. Was there a kind of a theme like that from the staff?
Yeah, I mean, we started, really, and we've always done it, but it's a one-game season. Like everything we have is all on Pitt. Like you can't think about what you did in the past. Now we got to learn from the things we did, but we can't dwell on it, because now this team, who we've got available this week, injury, we look at injuries, you look at all the different things that are happening, focus everything we can on Pitt, come up with a great game plan, offense, defense, kicking, go out, execute that game plan, and everything's focused on Pitt because we can't worry about, what we got in the future, all the tough games. You can't worry about that. You can't worry about what we did in the past. Try to stay focused. I think that's one of the most difficult things, as you're thinking about, 18 to 22-year-olds is keeping them focused right now, the task at hand. There's so many distractions out there, so many things going on, and right here, right now, be where your feet are is the one thing we always tell our guys, and really focus on that. Today's practice, Tuesday's practice, is a big day for us, where we're putting a whole game plan in today on a Tuesday. We got to go out here and really try to execute that game plan. It's just that time of year. Again, there's a lot of things that could be happening. Man, my hamstrings hurt, my whatever hurt, do I feel like going out today? Well, yeah, we got to go. And I do think that was a benefit of the bye. I do think our guys did heal up last week, feel fresh. They had Friday off, they had Saturday off, they had Monday off. So I do think today they'll be feeling the best they felt in some time.
Just to follow up that win at Virginia, and you may have a different view of it after looking at it again, but it looked like maybe your cleanest win of the season in terms of operation. I don't think you had a procedure penalty. Yeah. Might have been a couple of holds which happened, but from a penalty and operation standpoint, is that more like you want to see, and what do you think went into that improving?
Yeah, absolutely. I thought it was our cleanest. We didn't have any lost yardage plays. I think first time in 2003 that we didn't have any lost yardage plays. That's hard to do, but it kept us on the sticks. We averaged 3rd and 5 on our third down compared to early in the season. We were 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10. That was our average. So I thought that was huge. But that speaks to what you're talking about. We played a lot clean game, offensively and defensively, and that just keeps you in an opportunity to win those games. We just stayed on task, and I thought that was huge. If we continue that, we've been trying to do that. I think we certainly have helped ourselves penalty-wise the last few weeks. I thought we've gotten a lot better in that. It still comes down to turnover margin. I think that's one of the biggest stats there is out there. And we had a couple of turnovers, but we turned them over. And I thought that part was huge as well. But certainly the goal is to play a clean game, and not have those penalties. Take care of the football, gives you a chance to win.
Scott, obviously, when you look at your offense, Virginia's defense, Pittsburgh defense are two different things. Yeah. But are there some things that you saw from that Virginia game that you'll like to try to continually incorporate?
Yeah, I think each week is different. When you look at the defense we're playing this week compared to that defense, I did what I think I liked about that is what I just mentioned. We stayed on task there. We didn't have many. Like you go back to the BC game where we had some lost yardage plays that knocked us off. You're looking at 2nd and 14. It's a lot harder to get that going back again. I thought we did a much better job in this game of having those 2nd and 6s, 2nd and 7s. Now that's going to put us in a manageable third down. If you noticed on third down, there were times where we just ran the football and picked up first downs. It was our best third down day that we had. It was because of what we did on the earlier downs. I do think that is one thing that we certainly want to be more like. Having said that, we're playing a Pitt defense that is very aggressive. And, man, I look back 2020 against Pitt. That was maybe our worst offensive performance we've had. We got sacked maybe 6 times, just didn't do anything all day. They got after us. So we learned a lot that day as well. So whatever we did that day, don't do any of that. Let's do something else this game. I think we had one play, 75 yards. Hawkins went for a big long run. That was about all we did, really. So yeah, just take that, throw that away, and start over. But yeah, I think that's the biggest thing, and it goes to to about playing a clean game. I think that's the big thing, keeping us on task so we have those manageable situations. That day at Pitt, our best third down was 3rd and 6. Everything else was 3rd and 7 or more. I mean, it's just hard. It's hard to play winning football when you're doing that, and they had a lot to do with that. But we have to stay on task and not put ourselves in those difficult situations to try to overcome.
In talking about that, the offensive line has played well the last couple of weeks, and it seems like even with some injuries, Gonzalez and Luke Kandra have played a ton. Are you seeing those guys when they're in there that are really making plays? Yeah,
they're doing. And I've said this, both of those guys, Kandra and Gonzalez, we treat them like starters, whether they start or not. I mean, they're like starters. So they've played a ton of football. We have got some guys dinged, whether it be Renato, Boone, Trevor. I mean, all those guys have gotten dinged a little bit, so we've kind of rotated. But, yeah, they've been solid. I mean, last week, we didn't give up any sacks, no tackles for loss. That's O-line play. That's great O-line play. And there's going to be times where the quarterback's going to get hit. I thought Brock got hit a few times, but the ball's getting released. And we're not taking those lost yardage plays, but a lot of that is the guys up front. A huge challenge this week, as I mentioned, number 8, number 2, great interior defensive linemen. They bring these linebackers, they bring pressure. So we have to have a great plan of knowing how to pick these guys up. The other thing is you can know where they're coming, but you got to block them too. These guys are relentless, and I think that's where they separate themselves maybe to some other teams of how relentless they are when they do bring pressures. Is that good? All right. Thanks, guys.
How y'all doing?
Lance, Coach mentioned last week after the Virginia game that there were some little bit of tweaks made, like getting Marshawn involved, kind of involving your playmakers more. What do you see now that Malik is back that you guys can use from, obviously Brock and Malik are different, but what can you use from that game to maybe get some more help from Malik now that he's back?
Yeah, I thought it was an excellent job just in two ways. One, putting the game plan together. I thought we did an excellent job as a staff, finding different ways to formate and get our playmakers in position to get the football and make plays. I thought we did a much better job doing that this week. I think that showed on Saturday in the Virginia game. And then the blueprint, which Coach Satt just mentioned, was, a clean game. We stayed on track. We stayed ahead of the sticks. We took what the defense gave us and really executed well from a player standpoint. So it really took all of us, to have a great game plan. And so you carry that forward, that blueprint, even though Pitt's defense is different, carrying that blueprint forward in the ways that we utilized our personnel.
Lance, can you speak to the offensive line and what Scott was talking about? That game was clean without having a tackle for a loss. This is a challenge this week for them, but they've really played better each week, it seems like.
Yeah, I tell you, they're playing at a really high level right now, and we have multiple guys rotating in that offensive line. It's not just the starting 5, but we also have, 2 or 3 other guys that come in and play, significant minutes for us. I think that they are coming off the ball, establishing a new line of scrimmage, really playing physical at the point of attack, protecting the quarterback well. I was excited to see, how we played in the Virginia game, not giving up any sacks, no tackles for loss. And so, that's going to continue to be our standard each and every week, no matter who we play. And it's a great challenge this week with Pitt. They're very tough, physical front 7, present some problems for you up front. But, really proud of those guys and how they're playing, what they've done the last couple of weeks.
Lance, you mentioned the improvement in a game plan for Virginia and talking to Scott a little bit about some of the adjustments he made with involvement. What did you see or like that you guys did as an offensive staff leading into Virginia that you would like to see carried over the rest of the season?
Yeah, so, as I mentioned last week, we always, collaborate, do it together, put the game plan together in game. We talk about adjustments, next plays up. Hey, what's the defense giving us? How do we want to attack it? What are our complementary plays that we want to get to or set up the next set of plays? And so I just thought that, overall, we have done that each and every week. But I think as a new staff with some new pieces, we're just getting to know each other really well. And I think that bond and gel is, just starting to gel as a unit and as a staff. And so I think that's what showed up in Virginia. As a coaching staff, sometimes you have to get to know each other as well. And so I just think that the way that we put the game plan together, knowing not only how we gel, but also, how we can get our playmakers involved, getting Marshawn the ball, trying to get, Tyler Hudson mixed in early and often, getting some of those, younger receivers involved, I think was a great job.
Whatever staff you've been on in your career, recruiting has to happen during the season. This is a time when other schools are trying to pluck guys that are committed. Can you just kind of talk about the momentum you guys have had and what you kind of heard on the road last week with some guys you saw?
Yeah, obviously really excited about what we're doing in recruiting, about this class that we're putting together and what we've built. Coach Sad has mentioned it with this group. It's really about relationships. We have built really great relationships with this class, not only them, but their families, their coaches. And so I think when you build long-lasting, meaningful real relationships, you get to know the person and they get to know you. And so not only are they, committed and want to come here because of the University of Louisville, but they also love the people that are here. And it's always about the people. And so I think that those were the things that we continued to hear on the road this week. And again, just a lot of excitement for a bunch of those guys that are going to be starting here soon when we get to January.
Coach said Jalen was back. As far as that running back room, you've got different guys you can pick from. What does he bring, though? Being a guy that's had a lot of carries in the last 2 years, what does he bring that maybe some of the other guys don't?
Yeah, Jalen brings experience, toughness. He's a very physical back, and so I think all of those add value to our room, and he's a valuable piece of what we're doing in that room, just like all of those guys. It's a very competitive group, and really each one of those guys has brought something different, and I've loved the way that each one of them has taken advantage of their opportunity when they've gotten their chance.
Lance, you mentioned just a minute ago about the coaching staff gelling and kind of learning how to do that. You think about that with players, but maybe not necessarily the coaching staff. What has that process been like of getting to know one another and like you mentioned, you guys do have good collaboration, but getting to that point of being able to effectively communicate with one another?
Yeah, I think it just takes time, just like any relationship that you cultivate and you build, you have to get to know the other person, they have to get to know you, and that takes time, especially when you don't have opportunities, until it gets to be, live bullets in games. And so, I think that's been a process that we've always gotten along, and it's always been great communication and back and forth dialogue. And really, I think the biggest thing in that room is there is no ego. It's not my play, your play, Sat's play. It's how do we get the best play and also put our players in the best position to make plays on Saturday. And ultimately, it doesn't matter whose idea or whose play it is. We want to find the best way to get that done. Thanks, guys.
Just a little bit. Everybody good?
Brian, what the last couple weeks with the turnovers, are you seeing any common thread? You've gotten a lot of them in 3 games, but is it pressure? Is there one common thread that you've seen?
It's a little bit of both. Some pressure here. Some guys just making some plays. And then sometimes, in some cases, with some turnovers, you just get lucky, you know. And but, you know, we put an emphasis on it this season. We were one of the, you know, least teams last year of getting turnovers. And we put a real big emphasis on it this year, be able to get the ball back to our offense. And that's what we've been able to do. I mean, we're number one in the conference in turnovers gained. So that's a really big positive. And so if we can continue to do that, that'll help our offense put more points on the board.
Brian, obviously Satterfield helped out a little bit more on defense. How would you describe, I guess, that process from the Virginia game, preparing for the Virginia game, and now moving forward? What's that relationship and process like?
Well, it's great. You know, it's just, you know, he'll come in and you know give his 2 cents earlier, maybe on a Sunday, you know, and say some things that he sees, you know, against those guys that may give his offense problems. And you know, but it's been great. Just great dialogue. Just you know, giving me some ideas on certain things here and there, and you know, some we may implement. And you know, we talk about it as a staff collaboratively, and it's been great. It's always been great. We've always had a great working relationship, so it's awesome.
Brian, I asked Coach Satterfield about this as well. This is in reference to the running back, Eben Akonda, that you're facing this week. What makes him so dangerous as a runner, and how much harder is it to prepare because he is very good at receiving?
He's a really good football player. So you just mentioned it, receiving as well. He's a guy that's very, very explosive, you know, from a standpoint of, you know, he's averages over 22.8, if I'm not mistaken, his max velocity speed. So if he has any type of crease, he's going to hit it and get it. And if you don't, you know, have gap integrity, he can find a hole and he can hit it and he can hit it fast. That's what makes him really dynamic. And he's very patient in the run game, in the passing game as well, out of the backfield. A very, very solid receiver as well out of the backfield. So you have to do a great job of being gap integrity, but also tackling well too. You have to do a great job of game tackling him, and so it's exciting to be able to go up against a guy like that. Game planning wise, he's a little nightmare. So we want to make sure we put our guys in position to make plays.
Brian, I know you guys didn't see Pitt last year, but they're so different offensively, going from Kenny Pickett to Slovis, changing offensive coordinators. Just comparing film from what you've seen, how does that challenge change facing them this year when they've changed so much personnel?
Well, you know, I think you know, with Kenny, Kenny was more of a runner as well. I don't think Slovis, you know, they don't have a lot of design runs for him. But, you know, as far as the passing game, it's kind of similar to what we faced a couple of years ago, a little bit similar. But, you know, offensive line-wise, those guys are still there. So it's not a total, you know, remake, you know, of what we went against a couple of years ago. But they just added to it, I think. And so I think, you know, if something's not technically really, really broke, you know, why fix it? I mean, those guys are ACC champions last season. But, you know, Slovis just brings another dynamic arm in that building for those guys, that he has some dynamic receivers that he's able to get the ball to as well. And so we have to do a great job of not giving up explosive plays and doing a great job in the run game of tackling and being gap sound.
Virginia the other day ended up throwing for a little over 300 yards, but they ran for, I think it was 21 or something.
6.
It seems like when you – it was 6?
6
so
yards.
Okay. You would know. But it seems like when you do shut down a running game, passing yardage almost doesn't matter. Why does it work that way?
Well, I think the main and most important thing is to get the win. You can have 9,000 yards, but the biggest thing is points. You know, how many points are you giving up? And so if you can keep points off the board, those guys can, you know, hit some, you know, little short passes here and there, and that may gain up some yards in the passing game. But as long as we're not giving up points, that's the biggest thing. But I think, you know, the one thing from last game, Virginia game, they hit some couple underneath things that we didn't do a great job of tackling. They got some yak. after that. And, of course, that adds up, on the yardage in the passing game. So we got to do a better job of when we do make those guys throw the ball in front of us, we got to do a better job of tackling those guys and not being able to allow some yak yardage. And then, of course, some soft coverage by the corners, I thought. At times they gave up some, 10, 12-yard gains that could possibly end up just being 5 to 4 yards. So we got to do a better job of not allowing yak yards.
Brian, this is the midpoint of the season. Obviously, you know what you have coming up next with, Pitt and Wake Forest and all those guys. How do you, evaluate what you guys have been able to do so far, and where do you see, playing your best football on that side of the ball?
Well, I think hopefully we're hitting a stride to where we're, playing our best ball, because we need to play our best ball in the second half of the season to be able to, of course, get to a bowl game and, keep our hopes alive as far as the ACC goes. But I think that, what we've done so far, we've just been inconsistent. There's been times where we've been really, really dominant, getting 10 stops, straight against Central Florida, having this past game and, 6 yards rushing that Virginia rushed against us. And then you think about the games we lost, big plays, the big passing plays in the passing game or even in the run game. So I just hope that these guys can come out and be a little bit more consistent as we move forward the second half of the season. And I think we will. And so we're excited. They were excited the other day at practice. Glad to get those guys back from the off week. And so hopefully we can continue that trend of not giving up those big plays, tackling well. And I think if we do that, we'll have a really good second half of the season.
Brian, what did you see with MJ in the Virginia game? Scott said Kendrick is back, obviously. Yeah. How does that work itself out now back in there, and kind of what did he do in that game?
MJ's been practicing really hard all year, and he has been battling some knee tendonitis a little bit early on in the season. Still is a little bit, but I think the kid is just very smart, very sharp, and played his butt off. That was a heck of a pick. In the second half, does a great job quarter tracking and able to get the pick. And he did had some great tackles, in the box, whether it was a running back or the quarterback. I thought he did really well. He played really solid and graded out really, really high. So we're excited to be able to have another guy with Kendrick that you can, feel confident in, that he can go in and execute the game plan at a high level. And so if we can continue to do that, I think we'll be able to roll those guys and mix and match and play who we need to at that spot. As far as who's going to start, we don't know yet. We'll let that play out this week and see who grades out the best and go from there. I think anytime you got great competition at any spot, on the defense side or any position on offense as well, that heightens their level of awareness, attention to detail, and things of that nature, so they can go out and execute at a high level. And we have that right now at the free safety spot. Good. Thank you, guys. Have a good one.